Good morning. Good morning and welcome to this Friday morning. You're live with the Songbird Stamper. Thank you for joining me, be that live or on the replay, on this dreary Friday morning. I must admit, it's not the brightest out there. Went out and fed my rabbits this morning and came back in, sat down, the heavens opened and I realised I'd left his hutch open and he was just sat in there in the top, wondering what to do. So I've got something a little bit different to show you today. It's something that I do personally, but not something that I've ever really shared before. So I sat down last night. Thursday night is my night for preparing for my Friday morning lives. Russ does his racing, and I just couldn't get my head into it. I couldn't get my head into making a card. So I did what I often do when I can't really get my head into card making, and I thought I'll do some art journaling. And then I thought, well, I haven't really got anything to show you today, so I thought I might show you my art journaling process and see where we go from there, really. We sell a lot of products with Stampin' Up. Good morning, Diane. Is that you? I can see. We sell a lot of products at Stampin' Up, and they can be used for so much. Morning, Kate. Not just for card making. So yeah, I wanted to show you something a little bit different, and I'm going to, again, it's not something that I normally share, and I'll explain why as we go along. But basically the way I start is by just grabbing, it's actually a mixed media cardstock that I used. I'm not allowed to promote it, being a Stampin' Up demonstrator. You could try Stampin' Up's watercolour card. It's fairly thick, it feels the same, but it's a mixed media paper that I grab. Good morning, Kate. I hope you're doing okay. You're enjoying my little teaser this morning. I'm going to spin you around and we're going to get making. We are on time, but it can be quite a lengthy process, just to kind of build everything up and get going. So I'll spin you around. I'll show you what I made yesterday, and we'll go from there. So my workspace is not clean because it's going to get even messier as we go along. There we go, that's better. So yeah, this is something, it's about an art. What is art journaling, I guess, is the question. Art journaling is whatever you want it to be. It's making marks in a book, normally. Any kind of bound book, and search online if you're interested in art journaling. But for me, it's a place where I come and express my emotions. It's not something I do in my card making all that often, and it's not something I share. So you are a little bit privileged this morning, and it's because I couldn't think of anything else to do. I wanted to work with this set, Life is Beautiful. And I sat down and I tried to make some cards, and I will do, it will come, but I couldn't. So I made this instead, and it's a way of expressing emotion onto a page. And you're just using all of your different products. So I thought I'd get making. We're going to make a different colour one, but on that vein. So, I mean, this is just my rough journal. Don't get scared to get messy, pull it out, literally it's your space to do whatever you want with. So I'm going to flip that over, and it's just about putting ink onto the page to begin with. So I've got some colours: Balmy Blue, Gorgeous Grape, Highland Heather, Smoky Slate, Night of Navy, Misty Moonlight. I'm going to show you how to use the Whisper White craft pad as well, and some basic grey. I've got some sponges, a palette knife, we've got inks, we've got embossing powder, we've got embossing paste. So we're gonna make a bit of a mess, basically. That's what we're gonna do. I might take my jumper off because it is a dangerous world, the art journaling world. It's not clean and tidy like my card making is. It's grungy and messy, and I thought I would pop on and show you. So I'm going to start with creating a background, and like I said, I'm just going to lay some ink down. Good morning, Anita. Do you know what, Anita? I think this might be up your street. I don't know why, but it might be. So I'm just going to open all my ink pads and just, it's a case of not thinking. It's just a case of going with it and seeing where it takes you. That's why it's more emotion led than head led. Yeah, it's an interesting process. I know Heidi does art journaling. If you haven't given it a go, I highly recommend it. So I'm just going to grab a sponge and some ink. So look, I've already got a dirty page to start with, but it doesn't really bother me. If you wanted a clean one, you could turn it over. It's a bit cleaner on that side. And I'm just going to sponge some ink on. Now, when you're working with inks and papers, the different inks react hugely different on different papers and cardstock. So if I tried to do this on a different cardstock, it wouldn't work so well. So play. Honestly, that's the only way to figure out what works and what blends better. Is just to get the stuff out and have a play. Now I'm using these little egg sponges. I mean, I'm messy already, so you can see where this is going to end up. And then grab some darker stuff, just like I say, just go with it and see where it takes you. And you just end up building up layers and layers and layers, and if you don't like what you've got, you change it. Some purple, so Gorgeous Grape is what I've got. Yeah, I thought you did. A bit messy, a little bit. Have you done any art journaling before, Anita? Has anybody? I'd love to know if anybody's done any art journaling before. Because that's what this is. We're not making a card. You can make cards this way, and you can make cards out of your backgrounds that you create. But that's not what I'm going for here. I'm going to go straight across, I think, with this purple streak. Hey Sarah, how you doing? I haven't heard much from you recently. So I haven't gone in with Night of Navy. It's such a dark colour. I couldn't remember which is the Misty Moonlight then. And I think we'll have a little bit more Gorgeous Grape down here. It's just all about being quite raw. And if you feel angry, scrub it hard. If if you feel happy, use brighter colours. Oh, you've been really busy, have you? Ah, stuff in the pipeline. Be interesting to see what's coming. Or busy with other things. I'm trying to sell a house again at the moment, which is great news, but it's a little bit stressful. So I'm going to go back in and just blend those a little bit more, but I mean, we're totally going to, you could say destroy. Morning, Heidi. We're totally going to destroy this anyway, so actually doesn't really matter. You're just laying some colour down. Okay, so on, this is roughly what we're working with. This is something I made yesterday. And on the one I made yesterday, I took a baby wipe at this stage and I just scrubbed a baby wipe all over it and made a complete mess of the page. I don't think I want to do that this time. I don't think I do, but I don't know yet. So I'm going to get some water out because that's what I feel like this needs right now. Some water, and I'm going to grab my aqua brushes. The Stampin' Up inks are water reactive. And you can get the water on the page however you want, some big drops. So I just wanted to get that started to run. Now I just need to go and grab some kitchen roll, because that's the biggest thing you need when you're doing art journaling, really. It's kitchen roll, and I've come out without it. So while I wait for that just to activate, and you'll see what I mean in a minute, let me grab some kitchen roll. So I've got some nice big drops of water there. And I want them to merge and spread. You can use a straw, you can use a puffer blower thingy. Yeah, absolutely, Anita. I knew this would be up your street, and I wanted to show everybody that you can do that with Stampin' Up products. Morning, Sandy. And you can run and let it drip, tip it up. Just really get engaged with your background. So again, I'm just going to wait and let that water that I've moved around now activate, and that will just change the ink slightly. And then I think we're going to do some stamping. So I've grabbed this Life is Beautiful stamp set, and I'm going to use this one here. You'll be pleased to know I've already stamped and cut out my tree, which is what we're going to use as the focal point. So we're creating a background at the moment, and then I'm going to create a focal point on top of that. So let me grab my kitchen roll and just lay your kitchen roll on top of that, and then lift that up. The longer you leave it there, the whiter it will go. I love that look. If you want more, you can throw more at it, but I love how it takes away that colour, and that's because it's a water based ink. So let me grab a block. I'm going to go in with some Stamped Off, I think. Obviously, again, being a water reactive ink, if your page is wet and you stamp on it, you may react that water. It's entirely up to you whether you want to let it dry, or it's entirely up to you whether you want to dry it off with a heat gun first. It's great, Sarah. Like I say, it isn't something I share. This is a very personal part of me, my art journaling. It's a way I deal with my emotions, but I couldn't get my head into making cards last night. I needed to do this, obviously, and so I was a little bit stuck come this morning, and I thought, why not share it with you as a one-off. It's not going to be something that I do share on a regular basis, but it is a way of me expressing my emotions onto paper, let's say. No problem, Anne-Marie. Good morning to you. Nice to see you. And what I'm going to do is grab some embossing powder as well, because I think I'd quite like some of these embossed in white. So I'm going to give this a dry, obviously, because we're working with embossing powder next. We need this layer to be dry. Would I run a class? Do you know what? Somebody said I really should run a class in art journaling. I will think about it. Let's put it that way. It's great just knowing that our products can be used in so many different ways. and it's about experimenting and playing and just getting things out and trying what will work, what won't work, and you just keep building up the layers if you do or don't like something. So this is a mixed media cardstock. Obviously I can't promote it, but you could try Stampin' Up's watercolour card. They feel actually quite similar. And it's just a thin mix. It's called a mixed media cardstock, and it just means you can put so much on here. So it's warped it, but again, I just don't care. It's doesn't matter in the slightest. So let's grab some Versamark. Yeah, it's literally just called a mixed media cardstock. But so you could try the Stampin' Up watercolour card because it may well work. Now I am going to use the embossing buddy, but you don't have to, because again it's just free. It doesn't matter if you get little white bits here, there and everywhere, but it is just because it's been wet that I'm just going to run that over ever so slightly. This is going to be our kind of first layer of texture. So we've done some layers of colour. This is going to be our first layer of texture. And it doesn't mean you can't go back to coloured layers next. It just means that if you're putting texture on, you can't do anything kind of completely flat over it on a large scale, if that makes sense, because it won't lay perfectly flat. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but... So we've got some nice little white snowflakes on there. Let me just tip this powder, because the snowflakes will be raised. Oh, it is great. Do you know, honestly, I keep them in the book, Sarah. I've got a big book. So this is one I was doing during lockdown, and I'm going to give you a quick flick through. So that one was more journal, and I've got a big one again. I think I put it in storage. That was proper art journaling with less words. But I wanted to keep an actual kind of diary of the lockdown. But you could absolutely cut them up and use them as cards if that's what you wanted to do with them. So I'm just embossing activating the heat embossing. So I'm going to go back into some stamping, and I want, so being totally honest with you, this was me last night. The greeting says thinking of you, and it's me thinking of a part of me that is quite hurt, and so you could make a thinking of you card out of that, but it looks quite dark and oppressive, so you could absolutely do that. And certainly this one might be a better thinking of you card, but that's not what the greeting means to me. And it's interesting when you look at your stamps and when you start this process, if you have a go, what you will find alternative meanings in your stamp set. So I'm going to go with this is thinking of you, and And I'm just stamping that on lightly in the background. Is it Smoky Slate? Yeah, that's in Smoky Slate. Obviously then where I have heat embossed, you wouldn't be able to stamp over that because it's kind of shiny. I didn't stamp off on that one, so let's do a couple more not stamped off just to tie it all in together. There we go. Just keep stamping. It's just not a lot of, you don't have to give it a lot of thought, just give it a go. So that's that. What we're going to do now, so I'm going to grab a stencil, a mask. So give this a mask and then take a sponge, grab a colour. See, some neat and organised people would probably be crying at this point. I've got I've got embossing powder all over my inks, and I'm going in with different colours onto my inks. But it's just one of those things. So I'm giving that a bit of a sponge over there, just an effect, just a light effect there, and you could go in with blue or you could go in with a purple, it's entirely up to you. Just working with those same colours I've got. Good morning, Lizzie. How are you doing? And then this one up here. Just as light or as dark as you want it to be. Just add on that colour. Then what we're going to do is go in with some embossing paste, I think, next. So let's pop that to one side, grab our silicone craft mat, and I've got some embossing paste. I think I'm going to put the inks away for now, at least. These look like lightning rods or trees. I think they're supposed to be they are trees, but they kind of look like lightning rods to me. So let's just pop all these away before I really do get in a big old mess. And what we're going to do is grab some embossing paste. Now we've got shimmery white or we've got standard. And I think I'm going to go for shimmery white. I went for standard on my last page, but we're going to go for shimmery white on this one. Now this is old. I bought this 3 years ago, and it had rocks. I'm not kidding you, rock solidly dried up. Oh, you love a little bit of art journaling. Make the most of Stampin' Up. So exactly, Lizzie. Oh, I didn't realise it's something that you did. So it's a part of me that I don't share. But I did this last night and had nothing else to share today. So here we are. And it had dried completely, and I just added some water, and it's reactivated it. So take some of that and pop it down on your thing. I put way too much down last night. I didn't need that much at all. And I'm actually going to grab the Balmy Blue re-inker. Yeah, literally just develops and grows as you want it to, Anita. And if you wanted to, I think you might struggle with Stampin' Up supplies, but if you didn't like it at all, you just go over it with it's a product called Gesso, and you just go over it with Gesso, and you can basically just start all over again. So I've now made some glittery balmy blue. I mean, this is such a lovely technique. If you just wanted to do this and put this on some white card, you would have a lovely sparkly balmy blue glimmer paper. But we're going to use this now for stenciling. So I'm kind of going back over where this was, and again, when you're doing masking, normally they say tape it down, mask it properly. We're literally just going to get in there and do it rough and ready, because that's how, for me anyway, that's how art journaling is. and you get it all over your fingers, and you'll get bits where you don't want them, and you can either scrape them off or you can leave them on. So there's our little bit of texture added there. I didn't want it too dark, but you could absolutely go in with the Night of Navy and do this. That would look really cool. Totally random, Anita, yeah. Again, it's different because like my card making style is quite precise, but this is where I kind of just get messy and hands in. So there's that one, and then we're going to do one at the top here. And then I'm going to need to run away to the kitchen because this stuff dries on solid. So once we've done this bit here, I will just dart away quickly, clean this. Normally you would have like a bucket or a, what do you call those things you have in this thing? A bowl of water. See, I've just got some on there. Now you can either scrape it off or you can just make that into, which I'll show you in a minute because we've got a tiny little bit of this left. So scrape that back. And then with whatever you've got left, you could just wash it up, or you can add some texture on here. Just pop some bits on, get in there with your fingers. Entirely up to you. I'm just using it to add a bit of glimmer because it's all sparkly and shiny. So I'm just going to use my fingers to add some sparkle. Right, that's that. I'm just going to run away. Oh, do you know, I've not heard of Tracy Scott, Kim. Yeah, I've watched it. I watch YouTube videos and just get stuff out and have a play. That was the biggest obstacle for me, was thinking, what do I do? And then realising that you can do anything that you want to do. It really doesn't matter. There's kind of no right or wrong, is there? I hope you enjoyed it. Is it something that you still do? I'll be back in 2 secs. I just need to dump these in the sink. I would love a dedicated craft room sink, but for now I just have a very understanding partner for all the mess. Right, so I've just seen there, you can't really see that. Yeah, exactly that, Kim. There's no thinking, you're just going with your heart. So I'm just going to take that away because it's getting a bit messy and you can't really see what's underneath. So let me grab another one. But again, you don't want to use your nice clean, this one's a dirty one already, nice clean grid paper for this because it's going to get... Yeah, this looks, it's so different. Look, exactly the same kind of thing as this one, which I made last night, but this is just completely different colours. So you do need to wait for this to dry, but it really doesn't take long. So as I say, it dries so quickly. I'm just going to give it a blast with the embossing gun. And the reason it's called mixed media is because you're literally using all the mixed media on it, if that makes sense. Media is so pencils, pens, water, inks, embossing powders, embossing pastes. Oh, that's cool, Kim. Living on the same estate as someone who does art journaling. So is that dry yet? Pretty much. So it was at this stage yesterday that I realised the whole thing was quite dark, and I kind of just wanted to go over it with something. It doesn't matter if these bits kind of flake off. Doesn't matter. So I took out my Craft Whisper White ink pad. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I've never been to I'm not sure it's something. I'm not sure it's a process I would like to do. I'm feeling very brave doing it on camera right now, and that's because I'm just showing you a kind of a replica of what I did last night. I'm not sure it's a kind of process that I would want to do in front of other people. So I took my craft ink pad, but I suppose if you're teaching it, you're not really showing your emotions so much, are you? You can still keep that for private. And I just took some onto a kitchen roll. This is just literally the random kitchen roll that I had hanging around, and I just put some over here. Now it doesn't need it on this one, which is why I'm not really doing it. But can you see here? This was so dark last night, and it was early espresso mixed in with the standard embossing paste, and it was so dark that I took the whole and I ran it over the whole lot, just to distress it a little bit. That's the other thing it does, just adds another dimension. So we'll pop a little bit on just to distress it, I think. And that's what I meant by the background. When we started with our background, I said it's not perfect, but it doesn't need to be, because you're not really going for perfect, but you're going to cover it up anyway. So I'm just, and the more you do it, look, the more you think, oh, actually that looks quite nice, so I'll do a bit more of that. So that's the Whisper White ink pad. Can be really useful for dulling down. It's similar to, again, what you might use gesso. It's similar effect to that. Then we can add some highlights and some lowlights. I might actually grab out my do I want to paint it from here? Yeah, let's just paint it from here. So I've got my gorgeous grape ink pad and my aqua painter, and I'm just going to grab up some of the colour, and underneath some of the branches I'm just going to paint some shadows. Do as much or as little as you want. It's just to make a few of them pop. Yes, it would mow. It would make a lovely scrapbook page. Yeah, you can literally do whatever you want with them. Make them as big or as little as you want. You could cut this up and use it as a card front, which is what might happen to this one. So we've just added a little bit of, let's say, low lights, some shading. And it's who knows if it's in the right place or the wrong place, who really cares? And then what I'm going to do is grab some of the Whisper White ink. I'm just demonstrating processes really for you. So this is Whisper White Craft ink refill, and I'm just popping some of that onto a page, and this is really thick ink. I don't know if it's supposed to be like that, but mine is. And then this is the aqua painter that we just used, and I'm just going to pop some of that on there. What I'm actually going to do is add to that. So I'm going to add a couple of drops of this all-purpose ink, Frost White ink, so it's shimmery as well as white. I don't know how this is going to react. I've not done this before. Let's grab some of that, mix that all around. I'm hoping that's just going to kind of give it a bit of a shimmer. And then you can flick. So all I'm doing is taking my aqua painter and just hitting quite hard as I can really, my finger down. Again, this is the point you don't really want to be wearing a jumper, and you're just going to splatter some ink. This is quite an opaque ink, so it should dry so that you can still see it. Again, this is the one from yesterday. But the more runny you make it, the less you'll be able to see it. And then I'm just going to go in and add some lines to my stamped tree from earlier. Again, all of these elements together, individually, you would barely see, but together, it's just a bit too runny. I've got to go and do the weekly shop again today, which I can say is not something I'm particularly looking forward to, but we've been eking out our food for as long as possible. I think we've run out. So from last night I just left this, so I had some on here already and I just left it and then reactivated it this morning. So don't kind of waste anything, just reuse it. And so many things in the Stampin' Up world are water based, so you can just leave them and then reactivate them another time. So I'm actually going to go onto the glimmer here, so I've just caught it by accident and then realised that actually looks quite nice. So I'm just painting some white. Can you see that? That's so just an accident. I caught it by mistake and then realised I quite like that, so I'm just going with that to add a bit of white to the ends of my branches. Kind of looks like snow there. Oh, I do like that actually. So this is a background, and one of the things that I sometimes forget is that the background kind of needs a focal point. Well, it doesn't need to, it really doesn't need to, it's your page, you can do whatever you want with it. So I'm going to, like I said earlier, I've already cut out the tree, which you'll be pleased to hear because it took me quite a while to fussy cut the tree out. So we've used 2 of the stamps from the stamp set on the background. I'm just grabbing a little bit more white ink and finishing up on there. So I quite like that. Or just the aqua painters, they dry and wash out so easily. You just keep squeezing onto a sheet of tissue paper or a tissue or anything like that, and so just leave that there. That will then dry. So we've used 2 of the stamps. I then stamped this last night and cut it out, and that's going to go on our background, but it gets lost in the background just there. So what I've done is taken a piece of card. I'm hesitating because I'm trying to think what colours I want. I'm going to go for a piece of, like Kim said earlier, art journaling is just, it's about not thinking too much. So I've got a piece of gorgeous grape, and I've got a piece of balmy blue. and almost just let your hands go to where the card is and pick the colours for you. It's a really interesting process. And I'm going to use these no, what are they? Oval dies. Just making sure I use the right sizes. So that one's going to be that one, and that one's going to be that one. I'll run these through the big shot. So there's one. It's a bit different, isn't it? Thank you for saying it looks fabulous. I think it looks, I'm pleased with it. It's different. It's not my normal card making style. My art journaling style and my card making style are like completely different. So that's to go on there, but I didn't like that just as it was. So that's been embossed with this embossing folder. The new one, the wood one, what's it called? Evergreen Forest 3D embossing folder, and it is stunning, let me assure you. So I'm just going to pop that on there. Yes, that's exactly it, Kim. If you make a mistake, nobody will ever know. A, because it's your art journal, and it's about experimenting. But B, because you go with it, you change it, you work with it. Gosh, can you hear the rain? So noisy. Oh yeah, send me a message, Anita. I'd love that. I am collecting art journaling books, but I would absolutely love to see what you've got. Oh, no problem, Mo. We're not doing Tuesday lives anymore. One day we'll get back to a nice routine. I know. I so wish we could meet. Just not. We're not there yet, are we? Bless us. Not there yet. So I'm opening up the Whisper White again, I think. And I'm just going to grab my now very messy piece of kitchen towel and pick up some white ink. And I'm just going to sponge the edges of this. Yeah, I've stopped doing my Tuesday morning Facebook Lives for anybody that has ever watched on a Tuesday. I've joined a gym. Actually, I've joined a very posh health club. Get me. In the hope of shifting a little bit more of this weight. I did really well in lockdown, but I've started to struggle. And so, and also to give myself something to do other than Stampin' Up. Because as much as I love it, I need something else. So I've joined a health club, and Tuesday mornings is one of the times where I'm going to go to the health club. Oh, I'm glad you like it, Sandy. It's so noisy. I can't wait to have a craft room inside. So, first bit of glue going down on this page. Just going to glue that onto there. And then straight onto the page, I think. Can you hear that? Or is my phone doing a good job of cancelling it out? So this is something I did yesterday. I'll just show you before I use it. Sorry about that noise. So I stamped the tree in purple because I had made a different background, but I didn't use it in the end. Anyway, I cut it out, and because I didn't like it, I know it's so noisy. And then I've sponged the background here. So if you didn't want the stamped tree, but you did want the outline of it, you can do that. But I am going to use this one. Oh, here it comes again. Here comes the rain again. So I'm just popping a little bit of Tombow glue onto there. Oh, not on there. On there. I'll have to use my glue eraser on that shortly. And now what I used last time was the Thinking of You. But this time I'm going to go with Hello, because I'm going to pop it there. I wanted, so this has come a bit further right than in my other page, because I wanted this stamp to be visible. And I'm going to pop that over there. So let's grab a little block. Oh, that's better. And then I'm going to use the Gorgeous Grape ink again, I think. Actually, no, I'm going to go for Highland. No, I'm going to go for Misty Moonlight ink. Grab a little scrap of this white card. And then get fussy cutting. So my fingers are a little bit messy. That craft ink is probably the one that takes the longest to dry. So just be mindful when you're working with layers, what has dried, what hasn't dried. And then I'm just going to cut this out. I'll try and do it on screen so that you can see what I'm doing. Also, the other thing you need to remember if you do want to have a go at art journaling is trying to work out what products work over which products, or which products work over which products, because it will help you determine what layers you want. So obviously we've put a very water reactive ink down right at the beginning, so then if you wanted to do any water based layers, you have to understand that your ink is going to reactivate. And likelihood of smudging. So if you didn't want that, you would be thinking about using, so for the greeting, let's say, if you wanted the background, you're happy with the background moving, but you wanted the greeting to stay the same, you should be thinking about using the Stays On rather than the basic grey like I used, because that will allow you to alter the background, but the text will stay the same. I hope that's kind of making sense. And you could add papers in with this and grunge up the papers, distress the edges, almost like we did here with this panel. You can tear them and add strips on. So there's our little greeting, which I'm just going to pop on there. I'm going to stick it flat. I don't tend to work with much dimension on these pages. I tend to stick things a lot flatter. Oh, thanks, Anita. This is what I would call an Eileen card. I've got a crafty friend called Eileen who makes the most amazing cards, and she does a lot of sponging. I don't think she would call herself working with mixed media, but she does a lot of sponging and stamping to create backgrounds. And yes, if it's intricate and detailed and It's taken hours. It's an Eileen card. So you could put some gems on here, which is, again, what I think I might do. I might turn this into a card front. I don't know why they're thinking of you. I guess you think of your friends a lot, don't you? And put some sparkly gems on there. So let's grab them out. And I do use these. I do use these in my art journal as well. And ribbon. Don't be scared to use all of your standard supplies. Oh, there it is. Oops. Pop some of them on there. I don't think I've forgotten anything. Not that you really can forget anything, but I did get out some crystal accents, glossy accents. I don't know what for, but you could add blobs of that if you wanted to, maybe to the centre of your snowflakes. Just, again, be advised that this takes a long time to dry. So this is kind of a layer that you want to put on last if you want to use glossy accents. What's it called? Shimmery crystal effects. If you wanted to use that, so you can see I've just put one in there, and it just makes little droppers. Don't have to. To be honest, I'll probably forget it's on there and not leave it to dry, so I'm just going to take that off. But you can add that on if you wanted to. Well, I think that's it. That's really what I wanted to show you today. That this incredible technique, what we started with, reactivating or activating the water-based inks with water to create backgrounds. That's where the depth of that page has actually come from. And then just showing you all the different products we've got, making your own glimmer paper, making your own coloured embossing paste. The re-inkers are a fabulous addition to anybody's craft stash. You can use them for so many different things, so highly recommend those. Obviously we've got the class coming up, the watercolour class coming up on the 15th of November. In with that is included some of these re-inkers. That's why I mention it now. So if you did want to sign up for the class, you could add in some of the re-inkers, and that would be £25 for your 4-card class and 3 of the different coloured re-inkers. These colours actually, this kind of colour, so Balmy Blue, Highland Heather and Misty Moonlight. I'm filthy, so I need to go and have a quick wash up, I think. But it was lovely to craft with you today. Thank you so much for joining us. I will be back, like I said, next Friday. I am no longer doing my Tuesday morning lives, which is sad. It's very sad, but life's getting a little bit busier now for me. Now I've joined the gym, so it's about time that I spend a little bit of time doing that for myself. So thank you so much for joining me again. I will see you next Friday. If you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. And if you would like to purchase any of the products that I have used today, they are all available through Stampin' Up and on my website www.thesongbirdStamper.co.uk. You can pop online there and purchase any of the supplies that you need in order to make this background and this art journal page, which you could then turn into a card front. Have a lovely day, stay dry, stay safe, and I will see you all again very soon. Thank you. Bye bye.